Everyone, welcome in. This is Julie Maxon, the main stamper. I'm live for my Monday class. It's 8 o'clock here on the East Coast, here in Maine. My clock on the wall behind me, however, says it's 6:30, so my battery died today. And every time I look at the clock, I have no idea what time it is. I think it's 6:30, but really it's 8 o'clock. So here we are. We are going to do an awesome card class tonight. This is going to be a little bit of a lot of things. So it's not focused specifically on one stamp set. It's focused on kinds of stamp sets. And it's not focused on just one color. We've got lots of colors. And it's not focused on one embossing powder. I'm actually going to use 4 heat emboss powders. We are going to bring the heat tonight. There's a lot of heat embossing going on. Now, hi Jess, hi Jackie. So if you want the card kits, because I always offer my class card kits with an order during the week with my host code, and maybe you don't like to heat emboss, or maybe you don't have the stamps that I'm going to use. The beauty of this class is you can use pretty much any stamp to create a background stamp, and you can use any stamp that has a sentiment, and you don't have to heat emboss. You can just do some stamping. So this is a lot of fun. This is kind of like my end of June. We're just kind of mixing it up a little bit before we start a whole new month. Can you guys believe next week when we get back together, it's going to be July? Holy cow, right? Okay, so I did a little poll earlier and I was like, which of these background stamps would you like to see tonight? We have the Sketched in Plaid, Berry Harvest, and It's in the Stars. And they were like, you guys wanted all of them. Of course you did, right? You wanted to see all of them. So we're going to see all of them because you know how I am, right? I like to play with all the things. So make sure you're saying hi as you jump on. Hi, Lori. It's so good to see you guys here. Let's get over to my workspace. I'm going to show you the cards one at a time tonight, so you have to stick around. But let's get over to my workspace and we'll check out some of the things we have for tonight's card making adventures. Okay, so in the catalog, on page 118 and 119, these are the background. It's called Background Bliss, which is so true, right? Bliss. There's so much fun to be had. You can see great samples of some background stamps here and how they use them. And you're going to see that there's a whole bunch of them here on the bottom. This whole bottom row is returning. So they've either been in the previous annual catalog, the spring catalog, the winter catalog. You've seen them in different places. But there's 3 on the top here that are brand new. And guess what? They are Sketched in Plaid. They are Berry Harvest. And then In the Stars. So these are the 3 brand new ones. The brand new ones in the catalog. So maybe you don't have these yet. And that's why I wanted to play with them and show them to you. We're going to do them one at a time. So that's where we're using our background stamps from. That's the background portion. Oh, here's my host code. It is the same one as last week in case you play along and you're like, wait a minute, that looks familiar. It's K667UXNS. And I do keep my host codes open for maybe 2 to 3 weeks at a time until I build up enough host rewards that I can buy or earn some great stamping products. So that is current. And with a $35 order, you're getting the card kits. Here's the card kits. Look how pretty. So you're getting a sneak peek. Berry Burst, Night of Navy, and Lemon Lolly. So these are kind of like some primary colors almost. Bright and bold, really fun. And you're going to see these really pretty ribbons sticking out. Aren't they gorgeous ribbons? This actually is from one ribbon pack. Not paper pack, Julie. Ribbon pack. It's called Sheer Ribbon Combo. You do get, when you buy these ribbons, you get all these colors. You get the Bubble Bath, the Azure Afternoon, and the Lemon Lolly. These are really pretty ribbons, and they all have a little bit of silver in them along the edging. So gorgeous. So I have combined my class with all these ribbons. So in each kit you have one of the 3 different kinds of ribbons. So I wanted to share that with you because that's really awesome. You always make 2 of each card. By the way, if you bump up your order to $50, our embellishment tonight is the Neutrals Adhesive Back Sequins. So you'll get a full pack. You're not going to get my partial pack here. But the colors here are fantastic because you've got really basic colors. You've got gold and silver, although the silver looks kind of white. You've got copper, and then you've got this nice kind of chocolatey brown. Really pretty. These are obviously very neutral, and they go perfectly on our cards, which you're going to see as we get working on those tonight. You just move these things aside a little bit, and let's talk about our dies. So the dies that I'm going to be using tonight for the cards, so these are going to come to you already die cut. I used a little bit of the Stylish Shapes. I use this all the time. You guys know I love this one, but I wanted to try out a new die set. This is the Nested Essentials dies. So you can see again, layering. I love the layering dies. So you've got 3 different shapes. So they layer down. There's 4 of each size, right? So you got, my favorite is probably the banner, although I really like this one. This one is a really large one, so you have to use this in the horizontal position most of the time. Now what I love about this is there's like double stitching on here. So it is really cool. So again, very similar to my very favorite, also stitch dies, right? So I love the stitching. It's just one of the things that I absolutely love. The last thing I want to look at with you is the stamp set that I'm going to use for my sentiments. So this week I said I bought 2 of these Kindest expressions, not on purpose. I double bought because I forgot that I had it. So, you know, that's just how things go sometimes. I have 2. One will be a gift at some point, or a prize for a game, because I like to do that too. So Kindest expressions, I'm using this because we have really big sentiments. And I like a big sentiment, especially when you're just focusing on maybe a background stamp, just so that they combine together and you don't have to do anything else. It's just super simple. Now, we were comparing this to Good Feelings. So this is another stamp set that's very similar. Now, Good Feelings is a carryover. This one has 6 in it. This Kindest Expressions has 4, so you can see. But we have Sending Sunshine twice, so Sending Sunshine must be really important. This one is Sending Sunshine and Rainbows. This one is Sending Sunshine and Good Feelings Your Way. They both have a thank you. This one says thank you. This says thanks so much. This one has You're on my mind and in my heart. This one has With Sympathy. So you can kind of see that they are similar. We've got I'm just so happy for you and Hip Hip Hooray. And we've got Oh Happy Day. So they're very similar stamps. They kind of say the same thing, but I am using the Kindest expressions today. If you have anything that's a large stamp for your sentiment, they're going to be perfect for this card kit. So let's talk a little bit about the background stamps as we get to each one. Now these are ginormous stamps. You're going to need your biggest block or stamping platform. When you use the stamping platform and you use a stamp this size though, you have to use paper that's even bigger. So I just like to put them on the block. I know it's kind of heavy, but there are some workarounds here. So the hardest part is going to be getting the sticker on the back. And other than that, we are good to go. So let me set aside 2 of the card kits. We're going to start with Berry Burst. And I will bet you guys already know what stamp background we're going to be using. I see Patty, Sandra, Linda, and Andrea. Hello, welcome in. We are using the Berry Burst cardstock with the Berry Harvest. See, of course we are. Berries, right? So this is our very first card, and we're going to do a couple of different things here with our background stamp. I'm going to kind of let you see that we are embossing here in this one as well. So we've got the berries, we've got the bubble bath, and we've got some really pretty, this is the rose, I think it's rose gold paper. Let me see here. I have it out. Rose gold specialty paper. Yes. Comes in 12 by 12 sheets. I use the softest one, and if you can see here, I've actually embossed on it. I have embossed on foil paper. We're going to do this tonight. We have a lot of embossing to do. All right, so let's work on our first card here. And again, in your kits, you're going to get 2 of everything that you're going to need. So you're going to get some of that really pretty ribbon. We talked about the ribbon earlier. I'm just going to tuck away things that I don't need because I'm only doing 1 card with you. So you're getting die cuts. So you're getting these 2 from the Stylish Shapes, and then from the Nested Essentials, you're getting those die cuts. You're going to just get a little bit of cardstock here, and we are going to make everything else really pretty all on our own with some stamping and some embossing. It's going to be so awesome. All right, so 2 card bases. I'm going to set those aside too because I already have one that I've scored and it's ready to go. I like the ready to go version. Okay, and I'm probably going to need some paper to stamp on. So let me grab that out too. All right, I think I have everything we need. So we have card base, making sure it opens that way, and then we have a layer of the same color. So when I put them down together, it kind of disappears, right? But we're going to make this be really bold and fancy. So we are going to start with our stamp and Berry Burst ink. You can tell I've been in the ink today, right? My fingers, my hands are very inky. I've been inking up all afternoon, right up till 8 o'clock. I was like, I have got to start this class. You guys are ready. I'm ready. All right, so here is the ink on here. Now, one of the ways that you can do this, if you feel comfortable, is to flip this upside down. Now, I know you can't see through it, so you're going to kind of peek at the sides a little bit, and you're going to just make sure that the red rubber is above your paper and below your paper and off onto both sides of your paper. We're going to press down here for just a second. And then the beauty of this one, oh my gosh, and I'm saying the beauty of this one, the tone on tone here is just gorgeous, right? There's no orientation, so if you do this one a little crooked, it's so forgiving. Like, you don't want to do it so crooked that you miss the whole mark. Now, I don't know if you can see here on the edges, there's just a little bit of ink because I inked the entire surface, and that's where the where we didn't actually need it for the paper. So I'm just kind of getting rid of some of that. We're going to clean that up in a minute because we're going to be using that to emboss as well. But first, we're going to bring in a blending brush. This is Berry Burst again, and we're going to make this look a little bit nicer, right? So we're going to start off the top and kind of come down onto the corners here and the edges. Again, starting off your paper, just roll it right on in. I like to rotate mine. I feel like it's easier. And we're just going to continue here until we have all 4 edges pretty much as dark as we want, and we're leaving that nice light center. Isn't that pretty? I love that so much. Now when we put it against our card base, it really pops. You can see the color difference. Now that was easy, right? We didn't take our time. We didn't get out our blends. You could certainly do this on white cardstock, and then you could color the leaves, you could color the berries. I've seen people fussy cut, I mean, beautiful work, but no, we're not doing any of that. We're just going to keep it kind of simple. We're doing tone on tone, a little bit of blender brush action, and it's gorgeous. So let's put on a few of our layers here, and then we will clean up and do our heat embossing. So I just have a little piece of the bubble bath here, cardstock, and that's going to go on a small piece of Whisper White cardstock right here, just like that. So I'm just making a little bit of lightness here for the card because this berry color is really dark, really rich. And I'm actually also, this is something that I don't typically do, I'm putting things toward the top of my card rather than the bottom. So I'm branching out, I'm trying new things, and I'm putting up, I mean, kind of pushed everything here toward the top. Okay, with the ribbon, you're just going to cut enough here to wrap around. What scissors do I have handy? We'll go right about here. Okay, so we're going to wrap this right around, and I like to do this with my silicone mat and some Stampin' Seal, the regular Stampin' Seal. Now I can't really tell, there's not much of a difference front and back, so you can look at that ribbon and decide which way do you think is prettiest. And then we'll put some tape on one side, and I'm going to bring this in here, and I'm just going to put this along here, and then we're going to wrap it on the back. Super simple, right? Making it really pretty, like just gorgeous. Now if you didn't have this berry stamp, background stamp, you could use this. And all right, so here's, I like to stop and say, here's the bones of your card, right? We're going to put this on some dimensionals and pop that onto our card, just so. Ooh, I think I'm going dimensional heavy today. I can feel it already. I started loading them up and I'm like, whoa, I gotta hit the center still. So I am just adding a lot of dimension to my cards today. This is so pretty though. All right, did I get you already? I did. Grab all of those off of there. That's quite a few. That's enough. Okay. So we're just going to make sure we know which way our card opens. Important, right? And the top is up here with this beautiful pink ribbon. So we're just going to center this matted layer onto our card base. Oh, so pretty. Oh, I love it so much already. Okay. Now we're going to do some embossing on these 2 pieces. And I need to clean up my background stamp really quickly. So I'm going to just bring out my chamois. And I like the chamois for this part because you can pick the chamois up, right? And you can wipe it off. The Stampin' Scrub, I also enjoy. I mean, I like these cleaners for different reasons, but this one is great because you can just pick it up, clean it off, get all the nooks and crannies. Okay, I think we're good there. And then that's going to sit in my little case here until I need it again, which will probably be in a few more minutes. All right, so this beautiful stitched piece of rose gold paper is going to get heat embossed, and we're going to use this same stamp. So let's work on that with let me see, I gotta find all my embossing stuff. All right, so a little bit of this powder here from the Emboss Buddy. We're gonna bring in our Versamark ink, and we're using the copper for this card. So I'm just gonna bring in my copper embossing powder and prep that ahead of time. And my little clothespin, my handy clothespin there. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and ink up just some of this, right? Not the whole thing, just enough to get onto my circle here. And we're gonna just flip this upside down, just like this. I'm gonna bring in a scrap paper. So I'm making sure the ink is getting onto there and not all over my fingers and everything else. And I'm gonna flip this over. And we're gonna go ahead and put the powder on. So just like your regular heat embossing, right? Just like that. So I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can probably see that a little bit. The look of the foil with embossed powder reminds me a lot of those, the wax that you would melt and then stamp something on in like the olden days when they did fancy letters and such. I'm just gonna turn on my heat tool here for just a second. Remove that. And now when we do the embossing on foil paper, you just want to make sure that you're not keeping your heat too long in one area, because you can kind of scorch your paper. So it is important to continuously move this around. And once the embossing has started to set, you definitely don't need to keep going over and over it. So I'm still looking to see, I see some in the middle starting to come along. So I'm just going to kind of rotate this a little bit. And see how we're doing here. I think we're almost done. Just need to make sure. I'm just going to hit that little section right there where my clothespin was. Now you can see we have a curly hue, right? You can see how curly this is on my desk. It's kind of like a Lay's potato chip right now. It's got that little curl to it. I'm going to let this this cool down because the heated area is still really warm. So I'm going to let that cool down. But while we do that, we're going to go on and do our little sentiment piece. So same process. I'm just going to use my Emboss Buddy. Now this is bubble bath paper. So we are going to use the sentiment, "Oh Happy Day," and get everything set back up again. I always cover my powder up as soon as I'm done with it because I make enough of a mess in my craft room. I don't need to spill that everywhere. So here we go. Oh Happy Day. So of the 4 sentiments, I tried to use 3 of them. So 3 different sentiments on my cards today, and lining them up nicely with some of the die cuts here. I feel like I missed some ink there. Okay, Oh Happy Day looks pretty good here. Cover up my powder. All right, we're done with copper. We're going to move copper out of the way, and we are going to do a little bit more heat embossing. That's coming along just nicely now. I can see that. So depending on the background of your paper, sometimes it's a lot easier to tell if it's been embossed properly, and sometimes it's harder, right? So as long as you see all that nice, glossy, shiny, it's just so pretty. I just love that. Now, if you're not heat embossing, this is a light enough color you could stamp directly on. If you're not heat embossing this, you can just use this as a plain circle on your card. So let me set aside a couple things here, and we'll bring in our finished card because we are almost done. Now with the remainder of the ribbon, we're going to make a little bow. Fingers crossed, we're going to make a little bow. I should probably ask everyone to pray for me while I bow because I usually struggle with this so much. And I always think, oh, next time I'll remember and I'll make one ahead. And do I remember? No, I don't. So I struggle. But here we go. Actually, that wasn't too bad. So if you said a quick prayer for me, it definitely worked. My bow is pretty decent here. I'm going to accept this bow as a lovely bow. We're just going to make a little adjustment there. Okay. And then we're also going to be trimming. I should bring in my ribbon scissors. I have special ribbon scissors. There we go. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. I actually, this is my favorite, I think, of the ribbons in this ribbon pack. That one's my favorite. Okay, so now we're gonna, this is nice and cool. So you can see how shiny and pretty that is, right? So we're just gonna kind of manipulate a little bit here. We're gonna slightly bend our paper back into shape. So you can see that the side is white, so this is one-sided paper. And we're going to look for our dimensionals again. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put a couple up here at the top and a couple down here at the bottom. And we are going to be putting our, just make sure that that's gonna cover. We're gonna put our circle right over top of these dimensionals. So that way I don't have to figure out where on my circle I want them. I've just got them right here on the background. And we're gonna go right about there, I think. So it's catching just beautifully like so. Now we're gonna kind of do the same thing, but we're gonna put dimensionals over here to the side and one over here to the side. So this is gonna catch the side of my Oh Happy Day right here. Just kind of doing a quick visual. We're gonna need a little bit of glue on this side. And then we're gonna take off these dimensionals. And with just the background stamping and a sentiment, seeing where I want that to go, right about there, I think. Just so pretty, right? And then we're gonna bring in some tear and tape and we're gonna pop down our little bow. Let's see, which side is pretty? Then you have to decide which side of your bow is prettier. Sometimes that's even a struggle, right? I'm like, usually I can tell which side looks nice, but sometimes they both look pretty decent. So that's, then it makes it hard. But we're gonna put that little bow like right there on the edge just to kind of reinforce our pretty pink paper up here. And then we're gonna bring in our bling. So for this one, I am using the copper color bling because we've got the copper embossing powder. So we're just kind of reinforcing our elements here on the card. And where else did I put one? I put one up here, I guess. But I'm gonna put one over here this time. I'm gonna change it up just slightly, but not too much. So Oh Happy Day, look how pretty that is, right? That's just a really pretty card. So that's our background number one, just like that. Now, because you're gonna be making 2 of those with your card kits if you get them during the week this week. So that's your first look at that card. Let me clean up here briefly and we're gonna pop right into card number 2. Card number 2. So hopefully card number 1 you guys are enjoying. Just gonna check messages real quickly. Sandra, the struggle is real. Thank you guys for giving this some love. I'm so glad you like this one. All right, let's move on to our next card. And this one, oh my goodness. This one, even though I used the blue kit, and even though I made it a card for a sad occasion, you don't have to necessarily use it for a sad occasion. We are going to be bringing in the Stars. I think it's called It's in the Stars. Let me see here. It's in the Stars. This is our next background. So of course blue, right? Because blue and backgrounds, they kind of go together. And here is our card. So I did make this one a sympathy card because we do have, again, I'm just using these sentiments. So there's 4 sentiments here. If this could have been a birthday card, I probably would have made it a birthday card. It doesn't have to be a sympathy card, but I thought the blue and the stars just really pretty. I love these colors together. So this again is going to be a double card kit here. So you've got 2 card bases. Again, you've got that little bit of a ribbon. We're using a different shape from our Nested Essentials. We're stamping on the Azure Afternoon. We've got the Night of Navy. We've got a pop of white, and then we've got our card bases. So I'm just going to break these down real quickly, put the extras away off to the side, and bring in my pre-made card base. All right, so for this one, I don't know if you can see it, it might be really hard, but I did stamp on the back of my card base. And I did not use Night of Navy. I could have used Night of Navy, but I just used the Versamark ink. So this is a watercolor ink, so it's not just for embossing. So you can use the Versamark ink to get tone on anything. It's going to be a lighter tone on tone than if you used the Night of Navy. And again, I'm just going to do the same thing. This is my card base. I'm just going to kind of line this up and see if I can't get this all to come onto here. And again, no orientation. So if it's a little bit crooked, it's going to be okay. There we go. Now this is it's gonna be, I mean, it's really hard to see. So I'm not really sure if you can see that or not, but it is on there. When it dries, it'll look a little bit, actually dries a little bit darker. Your ink dries lighter. I feel like the Versamark dries darker, and I don't know why. That's just such an odd thing, but there you go. All right, so we are gonna use this little piece right here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to ink up with the Versamark. This time we're gonna be heat embossing it with silver. So we're going with the silver powder this time because, of course, stars, right? Stars are silver. Perfect. Love it. So I'm going to just hit the middle sections here of my big background stamp with the Versamark. And I'm going to line this guy up right here in the middle. And I'm going to bring in my little scrap paper. These things are fantastic, right? So again, I'm just kind of pushing down, and you can use your bone folder if you prefer, right? Just kind of make sure that everything gets covered, and then you can take your paper off, and then you can peel this up just like that. And then this may be a little bit easier to see the Versamark on it. It's not quite as, hold that with that, because these are stamps that are going like edge to edge. So every time I touch the edge, basically I'm pulling the Versamark off, and then I lose a little bit of my embossing. So there we go. All right, so that's good. I'm gonna find the cover for this one and put it away. I love these little Glad containers. They're big enough to work in. I've got a plastic spoon in there. I keep them like that all the time. That's how I store my powders. Those little containers hold maybe 2 or 3 jars. If you buy multiples, you can just make a nice big pool of that embossing powder, and they secure nicely so that you can keep them dry. So you're not getting, they're not getting humid or wet. And we're waiting on our stars to turn silver. Right now they just look gray. Okay, there we go. So I can see some of that silver coming along here. Coaxing it along here. Get the stars all lined up here for us, if you will. So pretty. I love this. This is just, this might be my favorite of the 3 background stamps as well that I'm using tonight. I feel like these little stars, you could use them for like new baby cards. You could use them for Christmas cards. You could use them for birthday cards, congratulations cards. I mean, like, right? Think of all the things you use stars for. And this is just really a fantastic background stamp. Like, so much fun. And even in the spots where I kind of smudged my embossing a little bit, it's okay, because it just kind of gives a distorted star look. We're going to call that distorted star look. We're going to call that a crafts-it-in, right? So there's a few spots on here where I kind of smudged, and it's okay. It's absolutely awesome. All right, so you're going to see huge difference between the one I just did that's not finished yet and this one right here. And I love the way that this one looks when we're all done with it. So let's get to that part next. We're going to bring in Night of Navy ink and a blending brush. I'm using a lot of blending, along with all the embossing today, I'm using a lot of blending brushes. And I have gone through and labeled mine so that I continuously use the same ones for exactly what I want to use them for. So this time we're getting the Night of Navy ink. And again, we're going to start off and up, and we're going to kind of come down and a little bit inward, but not all the way inward. I want you to leave some nice light spots in the middle. I'm going to rotate this. And this just deepens this paper so much. It changes the entire look of it. And then if you have spots that are like really light, so you can see some really light spots in the middle, while this isn't the darkest of inks right now, you can just kind of go in and touch maybe a couple little spots here and just kind of change that up so that you get a little bit of like almost like a cloudy sky look. I just think that is just absolutely gorgeous. I love that. And that changes this so much. Now when we put it against the Night of Navy, it is super beautiful. And that's a great way to change up the color of your cardstock, really, is just by starting with a lighter color. So we started with this Azure Afternoon, and we deepened it down with a darker color. Now we're going to stamp this little sentiment piece here with Sympathy, and that's going to just be done simply in the Night of Navy ink. Just a nice little stamping there. And now we're basically just going to put this card together. This one was really quick, but this one is probably my favorite. I'm going to stop for just a second, wipe off my fingers just in case I have ink all over them. Ooh, Jess says this would be a great graduation card. That is so true. It really would, wouldn't it? Yeah, I am only making this a sympathy card, again, because I'm trying to just use the sentiments that are in this stamp set. It does not by any means need to be a sympathy card. However, if you are looking for sympathy cards are really difficult to make. Maybe this is one that you kind of like the idea of, and you may turn this into your own sympathy card. Okay, so we're going to just come here from the back. So this is just our matted layers. We've got Night of Navy, and we're going to mat this right onto a piece of basic white. And we have the white layer here. Normally I do the 1/4 inch difference, so it's 1/8 of an inch of a difference in the layer. This one I did, I'm working in the 1/8, so this is a little bit shorter, smaller of a distance there. Sometimes I just want the tiniest bit of paper as a mat, rather than that, you know, that nice, the 1/4 inch really is a nice size to mat down to, but okay, here I go. Let me see. Am I happy with that? Do I want 2 more? I think I'll stay. I feel like I'm playing blackjack tonight. I'll stay. That's enough dimensionals for me for this round. I could have probably snuck in 2 more, but you know, I gotta save some for my next card. All right, now again, there's no orientation here, so you can just decide which way you like the shading better, which way you like the way this. Actually, I'm doing this the same. I'm going to do this the same as this one. I just realized that because I have this the little patterns here on the bottom. I can see are exactly the same. That is kind of cool. Now for this one, because it is a sympathy card, I felt like we didn't need a ton of ribbon. Like, we're not trying to make it really fancy, right? We're trying to make it nice though, because homemade cards are always nice. They're always beautiful. So we're going to add a little bit of ribbon. I think that might be the back. And I'm just going to put a little bit across the middle there. And this is just going to come across here. Now it's going to be long. I did this long for you just in case you decide maybe you want to loop it or do something a little bit different. It's not long enough for a bow, but it is long enough to just kind of come across here and be like a little layer without being obtrusive or obnoxious, right? Oh my gosh, I looked at this and had a panic. I thought this was, I thought my cardstock was missing some, like a corner here. It got dipped in ink. Do you guys see that blue corner there? That totally got dipped in ink. Navy, of course, right? Fortunately, it was the back side. So when I glue it down, no one will know. Now we're going to put a couple of dimensionals on here too. We're going to do 4 dimensionals here. And this is just going to go right over top of our blue ribbon. Really pretty ribbon, as mentioned. Okay, sympathy should also be right side up. I hope I put this on correctly. I did. Okay, good. You know, those moments where you're like, did I do this correctly? All right, so I'm bringing this right over here to the side, and I'm going to come in and just trim up this ribbon. I did not put adhesive all the way across my ribbon so that I could come back in and just kind of notch the ends here, give them a little bit of a trim on both ends. And then we're going to finish this one up with these kind of silver white color embellishments. And again, these are they're just subtle on here, especially with all of the shiny stars. So they're not, you know, not too glaringly obvious. Put this right up here. And there it is. This one was super simple. So again, background stamp, we use it on the card base, and then we use it as an embossed piece as well. And we made a really beautiful sympathy card. Now I know it's a sympathy card, but just imagine this was not a sympathy card. It could be a birthday card or congratulations, graduation, whatever card you want, really. It's a beautiful card. I really love this one. Love the stars so much. This is a fantastic one. And these colors just make me happy. Sometimes I think colors make you happy, right? Melissa says Starry Sky would go great with a stargazing DSP. It's very similar, Melissa, as well. And that's kind of where I was going a little bit too with this class. So I'm glad you mentioned DSP. So this is kind of, these card kits are they're anti-DSP, right? I'm not using any designer series paper. I am focusing on, so far we've got 2 done, background stamps. So I'm kind of showing you, you can make your own designer paper if you just have Stampin' Ink. You don't always have to, you know, maybe you're over the DSP sale, right, which ends at the end of this week. Maybe you're like, no, I'm good. I don't need any more paper. But maybe you need stamps that you can use to create some beautiful cards with, right? All right, so we are going on to the last card now. This is going to be I don't know what time it is. Like I said earlier, my clock is broken. Yes, I think we're doing really well here today. Move this one aside. All right, so now we're going on to our last card kit. These are kind of simpler cards to create, and our last one is this one in the Lemon Lolly, right? We've got some really pretty colors. We've got Pumpkin Pie, Melon Mambo. We've got a little bit of black in here. And on this one, I want you to notice I embossed with 2 different embossing powders. I have the black in my background, which is this really fancy, this one right here. It is the sketched plaid stamp, right? So I did the black background, and then I embossed the sentiment with white because I wanted to bring a brightness to this card. So I actually have 2 embossing powders on this one card. Like, how sneaky is that, right? So it's amazing where you can sneak in your embossed powders. All right, so let's break down this card kit real quick. And it looks like we are going to be out of class before you know it. So this, again, from the Nested Essentials, we're using this piece. We've got Lemon Lolly. This is the 3rd ribbon of the ribbon set, right? And then we've got some white, black, Melon Mambo, and then the 2 card bases. So there we have it. This is your card kit for this 3rd card, and we are doing all of the pretty stuff. We're making this all pretty, all on our own. Let me bring in. Oh, I did not do. All right, I'm gonna have to make a quick card base here. I did not get my Lemon Lolly card base set up, so let me do that really quickly. So what I like to do when I do my card bases, let's see if I can make sure everything's in scene here, right? I actually bring my my score tool out, and I bring my paper over to the 4 1/4. Oh, please don't cut it, Julie. Just score it. There you go. Good girl. Okay, so I like to score with my score tool on the cutting blade, and then I just make sure that the ends line up nicely. And there's always like a bubble here because you need to push some of this outward, and just make sure you're getting that nice line, just like so. I kind of look at it front and back. If it looks pretty on the inside, I'm happy. And there we go. And then you decide which side looks nicest, and that would be this side. Okay, back to business at hand. So I have a card base. I have a couple of layers, and earlier I mentioned cutting on the 1/8 inch difference, and that's again what this is with the Melon Mambo and the black. It just gives you that little tiny, almost looks neon, right, in the background, kind of a neon look. We are going to bring my little paper back in, and we're going to doctor up this little white cardstock and make it look just like this. How pretty is that? That is like DSP too, right? All right, so back to the Versamark, back to the embossing buddy, and off we go. So this class is like a really quick class tonight. We're going to be done in less than an hour, which is nice. I got some more paper cutting to do. I'm always cutting paper. Lots of card kits going out. Gotta make sure I get everybody's papers cut. All right, so for this one, rather than come down on top of this white paper, I'm going to line this up. And I'm just going to kind of pick a line here. That's going to help me to do it a little bit straighter, choosing a line to start with. And then we're going to do that scrap paper over top again. Bone folder is perfectly fine here. Oh, and I forgot, we need black embossing powder out. So let's grab that real quick before we get everything off of my, okay, scrap paper off. Now, what's nice about this one is you can kind of see where there's bigger channels. If I pick it up right here, I know that this is going to be an area where there's really no stamping. Therefore, there's no ink. Therefore, my little clothespin will catch it without causing problems, without removing some of this powder and the ink here that I got going on. Okay, the black is definitely challenging. I'm going to say the black is probably the most challenging to work with. It's definitely the most least forgiving. It's the least forgiving. If you make an error, the black really shows up. I'm going to, case in point here, show you. I actually missed a few spots here when I stamped and embossed, but it's okay. It didn't need to be completely covered, so that was okay. And also it makes a terrible mess on my desk. Like, this is the worst offender of getting everywhere. Okay, let me turn on my heat tool. This one's going to take a few minutes to heat up. Now, of course, again, if you didn't want to heat emboss this, you could just stamp this in Memento ink. Memento ink is your black ink, right? So you could stamp that in Memento. I just like the glossy black lines because I think it adds more of a wow, right? And of course, you could do this in colors. There's some great samples of this one in the catalog where they took markers and a ruler and they added more lines and they added more color. You could color this one like with your Stampin' lens. That's another way to do this one, is to color in some of these check marks and lines, making your plaids. So let's see how we're doing here on this one. Making sure we're getting nice and shiny here. This one's going to take the most embossing of all of them. And this one is a little bit messy. It's got like little splatters from even though I use the Emboss Buddy, there's little splatters of emboss powder here, but it's just part of the art. I think I have all of it. Okay, shut that down. Now again, that's going to bend a little bit. It's very warm. I'm just going to review here and make sure I got it all. I think I did. Yeah. So it's nice and shiny. Look how pretty that is, black and white. I love it. Okay, we're going to set that aside for a few minutes and let that just cool down. And while we're doing that, we're going to bring in our sentiment piece. And we're going to do our thanks so much on here. So again, the Emboss Buddy, the thanks so much is somewhere in my room. Here it is, right here. Okay. And this time we're using white powder. And I really like the white with this pink too. All right, thanks so much. We're gonna ink this up really nicely. You always wanna make sure that your Versamark ink pad is really wet, because if you have a lot of good ink on your ink pad, you'll be able to get a good transfer over to the embossed. Oh, that one's much better. I think this one's gonna be better than my original. Yep, it looks good. We're gonna just bring in, I have a little paintbrush here. So wherever I've got a few strays, I'm just gonna swipe those away. And that's very nice. Okay, covering the white powder. We're going to clip this one up, and after we emboss this, our embossing will be done for the night. And again, this was an easier one to see it change the color to the glossy. Okay, so there we go. Thanks so much. That's all set. So the only thing we have left to do is make this beautiful. We're going to do that by, of course, blender brushes and ink. Just make sure Everything feels so powdery. I feel like I've just been to the beach. I can't tell which side of this is going to be cleaner. Everything's very dusty here. Okay, I think we're good. We're going to bring in 3 colors. I've got Lemon Lolly, Pumpkin Pie, and Melon Mambo. So we're going to start at the top with the lemon. And my Lemon Lolly blender. Actually, I'm going to just kind of bend this a little bit because they curl up so much with the heat. The heat really affects the paper. All right, so starting off and coming down about 1/3 of the way is our Lemon Lolly. I'm going to start at the top again, just do another little bit of dark here and bring that down. So as I come down, it gets a little bit lighter, darker and then lighter. So that's our Lemon Lolly. Now we're going to bring in Pumpkin Pie, and we're going to start in the middle this time. And I'm going to just come across this way because I can't come down off the paper, so I can come across the paper. So I'm going to start over here and kind of just come across this middle section, and I'm going to blend into the yellow, right? So my lighter orange is going up into the yellow a little bit. And I'm going to come back down one more time. I want the darker here toward the bottom where the pink is going to come in. So this is kind of giving you that transition from one color to the next. So it's not like a really sharp line as you come down, where it looks like, oh, yellow stopped here and orange stopped here. We want to be able to like blend the colors. So we have blending brushes, and they're called blending brushes for that very good reason, right? We're blending downward. All right, Melon Mambo. Right here we have our Melon Mambo. I like to start this way now. And I'm going to start dark here at the bottom and then kind of come up into my orange a little bit. So I'm dark at the bottom and come up right into that orange. You're actually creating like 4 colors. You're getting that melon, which goes into the orange. So that's kind of a different color. As it hits the orange right here, you're getting like different rainbow colors. So you can kind of see that as it comes up, and then it gets orangey, which is really orange only for a little bit before it turns into the yellow. But how beautiful is that, right? So you can do any color combination you like. If you want to do this with greens and blues, purples and pinks, I mean, whatever color combinations, I suggest 3 for something this size, because I think that 3 colors together, because you are getting the colors in the middle. So if you put too many colors in, it might get a little crazy, but you know what? You're an artist too. So you guys, if you feel like adding all the rainbow colors, then do it up. All right, we're going to actually just put this together now with lots of layers and adhesives. Hopefully my glue didn't set up while I was doing all of my embossing and sponging. All right, so this is going to go on to a little matted layer of black. Just make sure it's on there nicely. And I'm going to flip this over. And because this is kind of, the paper was a little curlier, I'm just using my bone folder. Normally I don't always do this with my bone folder, but I just want to make sure that my embossed paper knows that I would like it to stay flat, please. Okay, and I kind of push outward, so that helps that quite a bit. And then we're going to layer this mat onto Melon Mambo mat. And this is our tiny mat, right? So it's very, like, just, you're seeing just a skosh of that off to the side there, right? Just really pretty. And then if you wanted to, you could put this up on dimensionals. I actually just did this one flat. Surprise. I know, right? Sometimes I'm like all over dimensionals, and then other times I am not. Now make sure you know which way your card is opening, and if you want yellow on top or if you want pink on top, right? You could do it this way if you wanted pink on top. As I say that, then I'm like, really? Yes, let's do this. Let's change it up. So here's my original. We're going to do the pink on top this time. And this is on purpose. I didn't forget which way my card opened. You guys are all witnesses. Did it on purpose. Okay, we're just changing it up, right? So we've got pink. And I did stronger colors here. I actually like this one better too than this one. Okay, this is good. This is good. So let's bring in our ribbon. We're going to take this is about 12 inches of ribbon. We're going to just third it. So I do it in my hands, just kind of back and forth, and get that figured out where I want that to be. And of course it's going to go behind my sentiment. So It's going to go right about there this time. I'm going to bring this down a little bit further. I'm going to bring my bone folder in for temporary holding purposes. This one, again, as just like my first card, I kept things to the top, which is new to me. I'm not normally a top heavy girl. Normally I like things in the middle or lower on my card fronts, but I was feeling the top today, so I went toppy. Let's see, make sure we got everything kind of evenly distributed here for our ribbon. So just a little bit of tear and tape across the middle to catch that, because this is going to come across here and then it will take care of hiding that tape. I'm just looking for my dimensionals again. We're going to do 4 on this one. My sheet is getting very slim pickings here. We're going to be onto the edges before I know it. But this is our last card. This is card number 3. I would love to know in the comments which was your favorite tonight. We'll look at them all in just a second. We'll pull them all out, just in case you tuned in a little later than earlier, I guess I should say. If you tuned in a little late, maybe you haven't seen the first couple of cards. Now this little die cut lines up. I didn't do this on purpose. It was magical. It lines up side to side right with this border of the melon mambo. How fancy is that? You can also use your lines here, like almost like a grid line, right, to help you to get that pretty straight on there. I feel like that is like more straight than not. Now we are bringing in our pretty bling, and this time I'm using the gold because it kind of goes with all the yellow tones here. So pretty. So we're going to put a couple of them here. We're going to bring one up here to the top, over here. Oh, nope, over here. Stuck on my spatula. There it is. Oh my goodness, so pretty, right? All right, so let's clean up just for a second so we can see all of our cards. We have the thanks so much. Ooh, I really like this one. I think I like the pink on the top better. That was a fun experiment. We have the really pretty starry with sympathy card, even though, you know, it doesn't have to be sympathy, we discussed. And we have the Oh Happy Day, the very first card with the berry burst, the pinks. Aren't these gorgeous card kits? I really like these. When I put the card kits together every week, I'm trying to do different card kits. I'm trying to do different colors, different techniques. And some weeks I really enjoy them. Some weeks I'm like, not sure if I've got it hit the ballpark or not. But this particular set, oh my goodness, this is gorgeous, right? This is a fun, bright, vibrant set. And again, we didn't focus on one stamp set. We didn't focus on we focus on background stamps. So if you have background stamps, you can create cards similar to this. If you have a stamp that you can stamp repeatedly, even if it's smaller and you can make it into a background stamp, you can do some of these techniques that I just shared with you. And any sentiments are going to work too, right? The blue is a kind of a hit, I think, here. The yellow on the top. Nice, Sandra. I know. They're all so different. They are just absolutely lovely cards. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm looking at my clock like it's working. What time is it? Oh, it is almost 9 o'clock. So we did get into closer to the hour there. So anyway, this is our card kits for this week. Don't forget the Designer Series paper sale ends on Friday, 15% off through Friday for all of the regular DSP, but we made our own tonight. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. You can make your own DSP just like I showed you here. So thank you guys for checking it out. Now come back on Thursday. I will be live at 3 o'clock. Thursday at 3 with a fun fold card, and we will continue our background inspiration as the week goes on. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will check back and read through them. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. You're so welcome, Sandra. I love that you were here. All right, everybody, that's it. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Until next time, stay inspired, create something beautiful, share the love. Bye, everybody.